What is the quickest way you've seen someone frick their life up? People in my high school who drove like idiots and got themselves killed. Some of them were wasted, but even when they were sober they did stupid crap on the road. One guy got impatient and tried to pass a car and plowed into oncoming traffic and died. I remember on the way to a senior skip day celebration, I struggled to keep up with everyone else because they were all doing 160 miles per hour zone. One girl got plastered and wrapped her car around a tree. One guy fell out of a car because he was wasted and fooling around. And every time, people shed tears and ask why do the good die young? As if it isn't going to happen to one of the other dozens of idiots driving like jackasses a few months later. It's really sad when people can't learn from the mistakes of others. It dooms them to learning firsthand. I had a new 25-year-old roommate attend a funeral of one of his friends. He said it was the third one in 4 years. A few weeks later I witnessed some members of his friend's group riding motorcycles without helmets upwards of 100 miles per hour. I was nervous as crap riding along in a car at that speed, and then one of the jackasses swerves into his friend's motorcycle and pulls out at the last second. They then proceed to play chicken, see how close they can swerve to each other without hitting. These were rich kids, if that helps contextualize. A guy I know 17 years old thought it was funny to post fake threats on the app Jodel, thinking it wouldn't be taken seriously. I have a Glock that's loaded in my backpack, don't come to school tomorrow, etc. Police swarmed the school and they eventually found out who it was that wrote the threats. Happened at my school too, except it was before social media, right after Columbine, and she wrote notes and hid them all over the school in various lockers, books, etc. School was cancelled for a week until they figured it out. Last I heard she was working at a Burger King and living with her parents still. That is incredibly stupid and in bad taste. How could anyone ever think that is a smart idea, especially right after Columbine? This happened in a 2-week period. A friend of mine lost his kitchen job due to layoffs. Looked in the paper for a job he could get quick so he can make his bills, rent, etc. Finds a listing for a company looking for a driver/delivery person ASAP. He has a car, so he figures it would be a good quick fix. Calls and gets the job over the phone and is told he starts the next evening. Gets a company cell phone and does his first pickup. Turns out it's an escort agency and he's picking up and dropping off the talent. Does this for a few nights and starts getting to know the girls. Turns out they're all addicted to crack. Big surprise. They get the idea in his head that he's doing all the groundwork, so he might as well post the ads himself and get his own phone and they'll work for him. So we're about a week into this adventure and he's gone from line cook to pimp. Fast forward a couple of days into pimping, and he comes to the conclusion that all these girls spend their money on his crack, so why not cut out the middleman and start paying them in what they want? He doesn't know where to get crack, but his kitchen buddies can hook him up with coke. Gets a bag of coke and googles how to make crack. Yes, really. Whips up a batch of kitchen crack and then is concerned that maybe he didn't make it correctly, so logically he should try it first before giving it to his ladies. 36-hour crack binge later, he's hooked and proceeds to sell off everything including the car and phone in the next few days. I dropped by his place to hang out around day 10. I had no idea any of this was going on. He meets me at the door, explains what he's been up to for the past few days, and says he doesn't want me there unless I'd like to pay and hook up with one of the crackheads in his living room. Strangely, I declined. Last time I saw him, he was cracked out yelling at people for change on a downtown street. 14 days and his entire life turned to garbage. That was an amazing chain of incredibly bad decisions, one right after the other. Wow. Well, I'm going to say the hard left turn happened when he decided to try his own crack. Up until that point he showed a lot of enthusiasm and a strong drive to advance upwards in the company. Hell, he even had the initiative to start his own enterprise. That pesky crack though, it will ruin you every time. I was the catcher for a kid in my town who was a nasty pitcher from an early age. At 16 or 17 he could throw 90 miles per hour fastballs, breaking balls, whatever. It was a bitch to catch, and I had to keep a wet sponge inside my mitt in case I caught one directly in the palm. He was drafted 12th overall by the Marlins and received a $1.8 million signing bonus that he got before he even went to spring training. Ended up blowing over $1.5 million on drugs and partying. Developed a coke habit that turned into an oxy habit that turned into heroin. Lost his ability to play, lost his spot on the team and his shot at many millions of dollars. It wasn't exactly overpass, but the dude wasted $1.5 million plus. Everything he would have gotten had he continued his upward trajectory, and it all happened in about 8 months. Pretty sure they made a documentary about this called Eastbound and Down. Over the course of my career, I played on many different teams. Some I liked, some I really freaking hated. I'm not mentioning any names, but let's just say Seattle can tongue kiss my crap hole. The best way to get a new team on your side is to trash the last team you played for. Talk crap about how their fans suck and their women have pancake titties. If that doesn't work, then just like prison, you pick the biggest baddest dude on the team and you kick him in his freaking teeth. A few months ago I had a friend of mine ask me if I wanted to try crack with him. I was busy, so I politely declined. He now has 3 different dealers calling up at the job looking for money. He's total to cars, only one of which was his. Everyone hates him now because he's always begging for money and lying to everyone, and his mother had him locked up for stealing from her house. We've been watching this dude ruin his life for the past few months and he won't listen to anyone. When we tell him it's obvious his addiction is causing it. You declined crack cocaine because you were busy? That's extremely fortunate. Yeah, well honestly, before I watched all that happen I had the mentality that I would try anything once. Seeing that though made me realize that lines had to be drawn somewhere and that I'll never try hard drugs. The fastest way I messed my life up was drugs. I got in a bad car accident in 2014 and had a bunch of surgeries and spent 5 months in the hospital. Afterwards, I was an opiate addicted mess who eventually developed PTSD and was prescribed enough alprazolam to effectively erase about a year of my life. I somehow managed to zombie my way through college and I graduate this May. My GPA sucks and I don't know if I'll be able to get in the nursing program at MUSC. I've been sober for a month now, and it felt like getting kicked by a whole football team for the first 2 weeks. I laid in a fetal position on the couch and watched 10 seasons of Cheers on Netflix, ate crackers and ginger ale, and am somehow still alive. But you are alive. One step at a time, friend. Keep on the sober train and you'll get where you want to go. Recovery, at first, is like the most congested interchange you've ever seen. So many different exits and turns, tolls, switching lanes, and you have no idea where you're going. It's confusing, scary, and everyone around you is honking and screaming at you to learn how to drive. Then you finally find your exit, you finally find your path, your road. And then you realize it's I-10 to San Diego, but you're in Jacksonville. That's when the depression hits. It's a long, boring, soul-crushing drive. But just keep on keeping on, count down the mile markers, and eventually you get there, 1 mile at a time. It's a party with a friend. I didn't know her friends well. Someone offers us heroin and I want to leave. She on the other hand has a crush on the guy and wants to stay. She assures me she isn't interested in trying it. I try to talk her out of it and to just leave with me, but no. Plus I'm starting to get crap for being lame, and I want out. The last thing she said to me before I left was, "You're a drag and a terrible friend." I told her, if worrying for her and my safety made me a drag and a bad friend, that I was okay with it. She died that night. So did he. Bat was laced with fentanyl and they both did. Not your fault, man. Really? There was this kid in my high school drot program who was at the top of his class, super smart and one of those people you know would succeed in anything they wanted. Well, when it came to time to choose the leadership for the following year, the teachers overlooked him and didn't choose him for a high position in the program. After that he started doing drugs, skipping class, and his grades went down quick. He ended up not graduating high school, going to jail a couple of times, and it's sad because he was someone that I looked up to since he was older than me. Perhaps it was his first taste of failure, even though being overlooked is not truly failure, and he collapsed as a result. Perhaps not. Either way, that's too bad. I hope you learned from his mistakes. Oh man, my first taste of failure was hard, and it was when I got into college. At the time I was really arrogant, thought I was the smartest guy. Einstein ain't got nothing on me kinda deal. And then I failed a class for the first time ever, and holy crap, it opened my eyes. My ex-wife had 4 beautiful kids, 2 girls, twin boys, decent job, and an MBA with way more earning potential than she was at. Had bariatric surgery, got obsessed with the attention she received from losing weight, Instagram, etc. Met some guy on this game she played, cheated, tried to make it work, my fault for not ending it, went on a trip for work, met some other guy, fell in love, meth and heroin, landed a surprisingly great job, got fired 2 months later for not performing, and being late/sick. All the time, double deposited her paychecks at least twice. Now she's awaiting trial for 4 felonies, presumably still doing drugs, and has no right to see the kids, because I refuse to let them see her around that crap. She makes no effort to see them and blames everyone else for her problems. Don't do drugs, kids, or be a self-obsessed ever victim. I've had bariatric surgery. Sadly, she traded her food addiction for a drug addiction. It happens to a lot of folks who have these procedures. Open bracket. Oh, the procedure worked wonders. VSG is truly amazing. But please, for the love of hell, get counseling to go with it. Not you, just anyone in general. I think I had heard if you have the procedure done in the US, counseling is mandatory. She has hers done in Mexico, and while the quality is on par with the US, and the cost is significantly cheaper, trading one addiction for another will bite you hard. My mom's friend's foster daughter was about a month from graduating high school. She was a straight A student, and she had a bright and promising future ahead of her. As far as anyone knew, she was a perfect good girl. But literally the day she turned 18, she disappeared. Her mom thought the worst, like she'd been kidnapped or killed. She didn't hear from her at all for about 2 weeks. The cops were looking for her, but turning up nothing. Then one day she walks in the front door like nothing happened. As it turns out, on her 18th birthday and the subsequent couple weeks, she dropped out of school, got a really ugly tattoo that covers a large portion of the side of her torso, moved in a house with a couple guys, which it was later found out that they were having gangbangs with her every day, blew a bunch of money on drugs. Then, when her mother yelled at her for making her worry and for doing so much retarded crap, she freaked out on her mom and left again that same day, disappearing for another several weeks. She came back to collect some of her things and decided she was moving across the country to live with her crackhead real mother that she was taken away from as a baby and never had anything to do with for her entire life. Today, roughly 5 years later, she has 2 babies from different dads, never went to college and works at Walmart. She could have done anything she wanted, but she decided to frick up everything and go partying instead of just staying in school 1 more month. Sounds just like someone I knew in high school. Confusing how some people just flip their lid and don't see the potential they have. It could also be burnout. I was a 4.0 student all through elementary school. I had very strict parent, as my curfew was 7 p.m. I couldn't go out with friends for more than a few hours, was not allowed to talk to boys, was not allowed to go to school dances, etc. My whole life and identity was focused around studying and getting good grades. Then, I went away to college a few hours from my home. I started talking to boys, discovered sex, I tried alcohol, I tried weed, I went out until 6 a.m. It was so fun. I had been missing out on so much fun. I got consumed by it.